Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, everyone. GitLab. My name is Christopher Leffoltz. This is the development key review. We are live streaming this key review as this is public information. As always, please remember that because we have potentially, we don't want to mention customer names as an example. There is a number of agenda items early in there around different highlights and lowlights associated with things, which I want to articulate. As in all GitLab fashion, we start with questions, as well as a presentation. And this morning I did throw in a quick video. Apologize for the late notice there. My throat was sore last night, and I need to balance that out, as it were. Anyway, we'll go into the first question, which Sam Beckham, you have the first question. Is Sam on the call?
I am, yes. Thank you, Christopher. You've answered it already, but I'll read it out for the stream, right? So on slide 5, there's a chart for the Q3 hiring plan, but the numbers didn't seem to match up. But it looks like the chart is R&D wide when the numbers are development wide, right? Like, is
correct.
My understanding that right?
What happened was I was using that to illustrate the curve and also kind of the general R&D challenge. I don't think development has specific problems, though. I think some of the problems that development has are probably specific in regards to the volume that we're doing. So we have to think in terms of that, potentially things that we might do for development that might be unique. But I didn't have time to work with Colleen to basically pull the chart for specific development. That's on me, not Colleen, to be very clear on that point. It's kind of representative. You can think of it as roughly half of that, both growth and half of the gap is development in this situation. Thanks. Sid, you have the next question?
Yeah. Let's see. Can you give it says our MR rate is 20% higher since May. Does the graphs in the presentation show the lower version? And if so, when will we have the updated ones? Not a big rush from me, but
yeah. So it was actually even worse than that. It was 40%. It was actually what it was showing. So it was even worse than that. So what it was showed is it looked like starting from May, we actually had a further decline associated with it. So it actually had 2 step functions. I think you're comparing it versus fall of 2021 when you make that 20% estimate associated with that. That largely has been the reliability and availability, as well as our growth associated with efforts. And that's where we've seen kind of a drop, and we've yet to crack the nut on how to get back that 20% related to that. But it was even worse than that. And that would make me really concerned, because 40% drop was starting to get into really dangerous territory.
So sorry.
Sure
so
thing.
the graphs that we're looking at, in reality, they're 20% higher.
Yes, like if you would have looked at the graphs, say in June, and I unfortunately didn't get snapshots of them, they were showing us below 5 for MR.
So the graphs we're looking at now are correct.
That's
the graphs
correct.
in the presentation are correct. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Can you give some context on we're moving towards a business continuous system?
Yeah. So this kind of the way I think about it is this comes from my days of working in companies where you're doing financial transactions or consumer transactions. You think in terms of number of requests a second and how you're responding to that. Nobody ever thinks about software development in those terms, right? They think of it in terms of, well, you merge MRs at the end of the day, or like when they're ready and those kinds of things. But the reality is that our volume is getting to the point as a project where it's actually starting to hit, hitting critical mass where, like, in those systems, when you have a disruption, there's a real impact, right? Similarly, we would have a similar kind of backup here. We're not continuous in regards to, we're not doing it all the days of the week. So we're not like on the weekends. We're definitely lower on the weekday or lower on the weekends relative to the weekdays. But still, if you think about it in terms of pipeline efficiency, everything else associated with it, thinking about it in those terms kind of gives you a very different perspective on kind of the business critical nature of it.
Thanks for that.
Sure,
makes sense. Yeah, I saw the change MR rate proposal. Of course, I'm supportive of that. And for everybody else, like, I think we should count the total number of MRs in GitLab as a contribution of the development department. Even if we don't write them ourselves, we review all of them. We also support the people who contribute them. And I think that the benefit, in the end, it's about impact. It's not about what we do. It's about how fast we move GitLab forward. And if we do that better, that's great.
Yeah, and I'm very supportive of this as well, obviously. And it's just the main thing is just like we're a large organization now, so the logistics of it, consistency with other graphs and charts, things of that nature that I want to make sure that we get right so that we can roll this out in a fashion that people understand associated with it.
Thanks. Pajamas was listed as an urgent concern. How is the pajamas in Rails going? Last time I heard, it took a duplicate effort to use a component in Rails when it was already available in Vue. Rails kind of feels like an island, and I feel that Rails is the places of the Shizan, but I'm not sure we're acting accordingly.
Yeah, this is one area I've been kind of more focused on the OKRs. In the specific pieces of it, and I haven't necessarily dug in on this, Sid. So I'll take an action to kind of work with Tim to kind of see how it's going there and get back to you on this one. I don't have a answer that I can give you on the fly, and I don't think anybody on the call can answer that with a sufficient expert.
Good. I think what I recommend is that we elevate the problem a bit, because this has been going on for more than half a year, and on one hand, we say, hey, use pajamas. And the other hand, like, it's really hard to use them in Rails. Maybe we should make it kind of a company-wide problem. And then maybe we can intrigue one of our developers who has a great idea how to do that. But I think that the problem is not very prominent, even though I think it's a big showstopper right now.
Okay, yeah, it's definitely a good idea. I like that approach. So I'll work with the team to figure out how best to get that kind of thought about and executed on.
Thanks. Also, I just saw 26 blatant health code violations.
26 health code violations?
Okay, well, you asked for Madagascar quotes. You asked for Madagascar mentions.
I thought I just get the word Madagascar in the book, so I want to see if anybody actually looked at the document. Okay. So thank you for acknowledging that. I appreciate it.
I was thinking about talking about cookies and like the vanilla I like to use. But
I was going to bring Cheetos actually and just sit by the microphone and chew away, but I figured that would be too much fun. Cool. If there are no other questions, I'm going to go ahead and close out.
I assume then this places of the Shizan was then also not recognized as a Madagascar quote.
You're correct. I need to go back and look. I was just
when you said Madagascar, do you mean the place or the movie more?
At the time, I think I was thinking about the movie, but I was thinking the place as well.
Okay, cool.
Both. Anything to see whether anybody noticed, right? Like sometimes you got to just check people are looking, right? 26. That's awesome. All right. Well, on that note, thanks everyone for a great group conversation a key review, and appreciate everybody's comments.
Thank you.